Hello guys, hope everyone's doing okay. Yeah, so I'm gonna kind of skip the intro because it's the same every time. I think I'm gonna mainly focus today on trying to figure out how to get rid of this glow. I have a suspicion it's intersections. So this stream, hopefully it's not entirely debugging, but it will at least start off debugging. If I can't find what it is, then we'll leave it. If I find what it is fairly quickly, we'll move on to Groom, and if it takes a while but we do solve it, then that would be wherever we end the stream. So we'll kind of play by ear. I won't be streaming for too long tonight, same as last time. This time it's just because the Battlefield beta is out and it's fucking great. So I'll be playing that with some friends. But yeah, for now, let's get some personal work done, be actually productive with my evening, and we'll see if I'm able to get rid of this. So this is the render I've currently got going, which obviously is right there that you can see it. So I'm going to start trying to get rid of it. So let's just quickly, I'm going to save a snapshot because I do quite like that angle, but we'll just hide that for now. Cool. So let's get into the render cam and just isolate that section so we know when we've got rid of it. So let's let that clean up for a moment. The first thing I'm going to try is changing the shader on the head itself to see if that's like possibly what's going on. So let's give this a moment to do this thing. I don't think it's the head shader itself, but this will tell us. So that'll do. Let's store a snapshot. And I'm just going to replace the skin shader with a brand new material. I'm going to hide the grooms because they don't change anything. So let's just hide let's just add a new material. AI standard surface. Turn off that and just keep this default. And yeah, let's go to U. So this gets rid of displacement and subsurface. In theory, the glow should still be there. Yeah, absolutely is. Yeah, it's still there. Okay, so that allows us to rule that out. So it's not intersection. It's not intersection of subsurface. If we get rid of this, okay, and if I get rid of that, so it's coming from this geometry because that's definitely glowing too much. If I assign a material to this that doesn't have subsurface, there is still some kind of glow in there. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so if I just scale this out, in fact no, let's not scale it out, let's fix it properly. It's not intersecting anymore. There's something wrong with this geometry very specifically. Because if I get rid of this guy, the issue goes away. Where's the render stats? Oh! So it's lost. Okay, cool. Let's just undo a few steps, I guess. Granted, I should fix the intersection area, but I think we may have found the issue. Okay, so we've got the skin material in that. So let's just select the ruffle and its ruffle mount and turn all this back on. And render. If that was it the whole time, I'm going to be kind of sad. Why did that turn off? Because I know it's happened multiple times where like render stats just get lost on objects. I don't know what causes it exactly. Yeah, there we go, that's it fixed. Interesting. Just let that do its thing for a moment. Did the renders just get slower? That'd be concerning. I mean, that's obviously fixed it, but like... It's weird how that was doing that. It's like, why was it adding so much light energy though? That's what's confusing me. How is it adding to the scene? Either way, it's fixed, so that's a pretty helpful little change already. So now let's just fix that anyway. I'm going to make it a little bit more snug to his neck. So hide both of these guys. I obviously will fix this at some point, but for now that's a non-issue. How do you grow a selection? Let me just quickly search. Maya grow selection. Hit shift and then greater than. So I'm guessing shift and greater than. There we go. Okay. Works. Is that the ruffle? I feel like it should line up to some extent. Okay, and I will set that to volume. Oh, why did I go up here? It's not tool settings. Right, so set that to object and then soft selection. So you to volume. Cool, that'll do for now. Now let's get a ruffle cover on there. And just isolate these guys. I do kind of want to dip down one of these. Maybe like U to U. Just have it kind of slot in between. Smoothing will take care of the rest, right? I just want to have a little bit of a hint of it kind of dip in between something. Even if it's just the one. Cool. Or is it a closed loop? I thought I left it as an open loop. Well, that needs a bit of inflating. Right. We do have to revisit this at some point. But I've said that in multiple streams now. And not done anything about it. Because deep down I really want to not do anything about it. So, next thing, let's show the groom again. We should fix the crunkle model. So what we'll need to do at some point is have that blend in, as in like physically, like blend in some way. Not entirely sure how we'll do it, but I'm sure we'll find a way. Almost wondering if it's worth remodeling from scratch at some point. topology is also kind of slacking, to be honest. So let's check the eyebrow guides. That'd be why. Yeah, the guides themselves are fine. I just need to paint some actual maps to control this shit. Okay. Oh, the beard is something we need to sort out as well. Okay, let's work on the beard. So I need to go get Pierrot open. Right, so just gonna load it on another screen just because my recent Pierrot scenes have some client stuff in there. There we go. So what we're looking for facial hair wise. I do like the random long hairs up here. Let's just have a quick look. I think it should be a little bit longer. Maybe a little bit thinner too. Let's just go into our Yeti graph editor. Okay, so into the Pierrot group. Stubble. Should probably call it facial hair. We'll call it stubble for now, but alright, so let's increase the length just a little bit. Okay, so I've got a little bit of taper on there, which doesn't make much sense. Let's do, rather than divide by length, let's go multiply length. And then, God, this is going to be a tiny value. Let's find out what it is. So the length of this guy is, so it's going to be one of those, okay, so at minimum, the length is 0.8 times this. It's like 3 3.2 maybe. So I think this needs to go up by 3 times. Apparently not. Okay, let's just try 15. No. 150. There we go. Okay, so that's getting chaotic now. So let's try 50. Okay. Works quite well actually. Let's try 75. See what that does. Yeah, it's working relatively well. Okay, so I think something between that and the previous one. So let's just go pick ID 500 by 750 divided by 100. Let's divide by 10. There we go. We can kind of get away with root scraggle in this case because the hairs are physically embedded into the skin. That feels a bit better though. Okay, so we got that. Let's have a quick look at our stubble room. Okay, so let's start combing this. And we do want to get some random long hairs hidden in there, so we'll find a nice way to do that as well. So let's go. Wait, why did I have a length multiplier? Okay, let's go set length multiplier to 1, so they're the full length of the guide. Granted, we do have to remember that they are being embedded into the skin, so they do lose a little bit of length, but that's fine. Maybe we can reduce the amount of displacement actually. Length divided by 4. There we go. Although, why would I do length divided by 4? Just go minus 0.1. Okay, minus 0.01. How much are they embedded into the skin? Let's do a little bit more, 1.15. So now every hair, now every hair starts in the skin. That will affect the subsurface in a nice, very subtle little way. Cool. So now I can actually groom the thing. So let's go to resampling. Resample them to something like 5. Let's turn off U. Go to edit groom, tool settings, and let me just grab my wacko mount. Right, there we go. So let's go to comb. Oh, that's not what I want. Should have probably just done a scatter rather than place on points when I was placing these cards. Okay. Let's see what that's doing. In fact, actually, let's do one of my favourite things. Oh, we need a brush texture. I'm thinking of X-Gen. Never mind, can't do that. Something you can do in X-Gen is put a textured brush onto... In fact, no, I'm thinking of an even different software. Never mind. Yeah, there's a groom tool I used to use that allow you to put... it would allow you to put textures on like going brushes. I think it's a plugin for Houdini, I can't remember. It's been a while. It might have even been like Room Boy or something. Or maybe it was X-Gen, I can't remember. There was one tool that allowed to put a texture on a cone brush. And if you put a really chaotic texture, you could just kind of go back and forth. And it would mess up the guides in a really nice looking way. It might have been X-Gen actually. Cool. So we got that. So now let's get back into Yeti Graph Editor. Oh, I can get rid of this now. Oh, I can't delete it now, okay. So do I not have a comb? No, I don't. It's going very flat very quickly, so we'll have to update our guides to fix that. It's a nice trick to do it though. So let's just go edit Grim, toolbox, use this guy and foot fill. Maybe not that strong though. Let's get the general direction in there. Cool, looks like it's worked. So now to get random long hairs in there and also reduce the length of it overall. Let's get back into you. So let's go to the length. Why didn't I just pick the value? Okay, 1 second. Let's go to the tool settings. 0.2. So it was 0.2. Okay, so that's at 0.16. And just upload. That did actually change. Cool. Maybe 1.6 is a bit too subtle. Let's go 1.3. Wait, so the length of the hair changing, but not the length of the guide. Let's go 0, 1, see what happens. Yeah, the guide itself. Oh wait, okay, that makes sense. So okay, say it's 0.16. Not like that. Greater than or equal to 0.1. No. Do I need less than? No. It is greater than. No. God, I've fried my brain today. So I guess like random long hairs in there. That double length. Bless me. Right, so that should do. Oh, at some point I do the guides for the inflated eye that he's got. Switch to perspective camera. still need to figure out what this is. In fact, actually, while this renders in the background, this fucking hat thing, well, not hat. Can you explain the difference between hash ID and pick ID? Yeah, sure. So, hey Pogo, yeah, nice to see you on the stream. In terms of the difference, so hash generates a float number between 0 and 1, and that's all it does. Pick will select a integer between whatever values you give it. So integers being whole numbers. I don't know what level you're at in terms of like that sort of knowledge, so sorry if I dumb this down a bit too much. But yeah, integers are whole numbers, so you don't get any decimal points, and hash gives you anything between 0 and 1. I can't remember how many decimal points, but it's a lot. Obviously, that's kind of tricky, because if you want a random number that's between 0 and 3, for example, it gets a bit like kind of complicated to do it with a hash. So what I like to do is think of what values I want. So let's say I want a random float number between 5 and 8. I will put pick ID them 5 and 8, but I'll multiply them by 100 or 1,000, and then at the end divide it all by 100 or 1,000. So that basically just adds decimal points. It just does it. It's an extra step, but it works quite well. Although I do wish there was a float random that you could get in Yeti. It'd be really nice. Well, it wouldn't be really nice. It would be catching up with what every other tool does, but yeah, Yeti being Yeti, there's always going to be something that it doesn't do the way that you'd expect it to. So let's check this little area here. This camera is uncomfortably close. I will probably end the stream at like 7:30, I think. It will only be a short stream today. Ah, perfect. Then I use it correctly. I always use pick ID and then divide by a bigger number to get decimals. Yeah, that's as far as I'm aware, it's the generally accepted method. I don't work with many Yeti guys, so maybe there's better ways. But for me, that's the way I like to use it. I think on a technical level, hash is more efficient. Or something like that, but the performance difference wouldn't be much. I can't remember where I heard that though. It might be bullshit, but I seem to remember it. But if it turns out to be false, then I guess no harm done. Alright, so yeah, the facial hair's working. It gives that kind of texture now. How are the eyelashes holding up? Well, how's the new caruncle holding up actually? I'll say new caruncle. How's the caruncle that I slightly moved holding up? I definitely need to darken it because it's very dark in this. Although this doesn't look like it's in the right place. Like that doesn't look like where a caruncle should be, or where a caruncle should be. Oh, there's a subsurface thing going on here. Something I do want to do, actually I'll do that now, is start adding a meniscus to the eye. So, if you don't know what a meniscus is, it's basically just a layer of, like a film of water that connects your eyelid to your eye, just because your eye is wet. So, can you let me select stuff, please? There we go. So if I select this guy and this guy, we'll start with this eye. In fact, I need the caruncle as well. Cool. Start with all those. And then the way I like to block out model it, I'm pretty sure there's an easy way, like if you used to create a curve at the intersection between these objects, which I'm pretty sure you could do with booleans, but I'm not very good with booleans. So I just tend to set this to be a live object, quickly go in with quad draw, if I can find the modeling toolkit. And then I'll just place like a line of polygons down here. Oh, let's turn off. Cool. So I'll just kind of go around like this. It's generally better to kind of do longer polygons to begin with and then subdivide it. That makes your life a little bit easier. You'll see what I'm doing with this in a moment. Like that. Turn this. So let's just quickly move this over. Something like that will do, and just throw actually 2 or 3 in there. And then what we can do is just quickly grab this inside edge, extrude, and I like just to scale it quickly. Oh, let's turn off that though. So we scale it like that, and then we move forward. And that will kind of proxy something for you. Obviously then you hand model it, you fix it. Something you can do is then set this to be the live object. And quad draw to smooth out this inside edge. But it doesn't always work. I'll give that a go though. Let's see how this... Ignore this area here. Yeah, let's do every other edge. I'll speed up the process a lot. Something like that. Yeah, that'll do. Then let's just fix the model manually from here on out. look at how the meniscus works with the caruncle. It makes more sense actually for it to go this way, right? But we'll just move this forward for now. It'll be a temp. Do for a proxy. At a later point, I can model this a bit more properly. Something like that will do. Cool. It actually acts like a meniscus. Let's just bevel this. Lots of intersections. And just inflate that in. And there we go. Kind of speedy meniscus. It's just by no means a perfect method. Disclaimer, this isn't the best way to do it. Something like that will do though. Oh, actually. So let's just throw a water shader on this guy after we make it smoothable. I will need to put a displacement on it as well to kind of bobble it up a bit, but for now let's just do this. Sand surface. Let's just create a quick water shader. Water mat. But let's name it properly. Meniscus. No diffuse, so let's just throw something together. Very little gloss. 1.335. Transmission. Whoop. I'll leave these alone for now. Although I do need to mess with dielectric priority, don't I? 3. Can't remember what order they have to be in. Let me just quickly Google it. Arnold dielectric priority. That was weird. Okay. So that would override. So I think having it set to 0 would be fine in this case. I don't think I need to go higher. So let's just get into let's get into the Arnold. Okay, and do I have a secondary camera? I do. So let me just mess with this quickly. I'm gonna get a ludicrous focal length. Cool. And then what's the distance to the meniscus, if we can grab it? There it is. 152. Let's remember 152. Cool. Save seeing because it's been a while. Not related, but what are you doing right now? I definitely don't want to bug you on this. There's any chance you can squeeze in short percentage shading tutorial? Oh, not right now. I can maybe do something over the weekend. Yeah, I can definitely do it over the weekend. Probability shading. I mean, I can chat about my approach. My overall approach is assign a random value to each hair. I wouldn't know how you do it in OSL. I do need to learn that at some point, actually. I probably will on my next job, to be honest. But yeah, I assign a random value between 0 and 1 to every hair, which I can do in the Yeti menu. With that random value per hair, I go into the material and I check if that value is less than or greater than either a ramp for the value or a texture map. If it's greater, then it outputs a value of 1, and if it's less than, it outputs a value of 0. Or maybe the other way around, off the top of my head. And then I just use that as a mask for a color layer node or something along those lines. It's something that I will break down at some point. I've just been a bit busier than I expected. But yeah, I can record something. Probably over the weekend. Just do a quick walkthrough. I do actually have some percentage shaders in this scene, so I could quickly show those. I just want to see if this meniscus is working. So I'm gonna let this do one pass and then zoom in on the eye. Give me a bit of a dark ring effect, isn't it? Let me change to a perspective camera. Yeah, it's giving me a bit of a shadow. And I can just set shadow to 0, but... Oh, I need to enable caustics. Let's do a quick before and after, actually. That'll do for the general. So snapshot, and then let's turn on caustics. There we go. So I got a bit of an issue up here. I wonder if that will resolve itself or not. Granted, the modelling's not great in this area, and actually the chronicle itself needs quite a bit of rework. That sounds great. Arvid Schneider did an OSL shader. I proposed shading a little while back. It's what I use. Sounds pretty close. Yeah, I mean the method I use is pretty standard, to be honest. It's the simplest way to do it that I've found. Yes, that's worked. I always have to remember to turn on caustics. Cool, so let's just throw a quick displacement on there, because that's the next thing. So go into the hypershade. Do I not have it open? Right, I'll do this, then I will show you my setup. I won't like walk through building it for now, because I will be recording that, but I will walk through, what's the word I'm looking for? I will happily walk through like the setup in the scene that's already there. So AI noise, set range. I need to set up something that creates this set range for me. 99% of the time when I create a set range, that's exactly what I do. There we go. Weird. Anyway, so let's can't remember which way around to go. I think it's that way. Yeah, there we go. Let's create a quick multiplier. Bit of an issue there with the edges of the polygons. Okay, so let's lower that. Let's go 666. You tell I'm not superstitious. Maybe even lower, let's go 555. Is that the polygon count? Jesus. Yeah, that works. I do love a good AO pass. Right, so what I'll do, I'll walk you through my percentage shading setup. At some point this weekend I'll do the actual video explaining it, but debug shading is disabled. Cool, so save my scene. each save is like 400 meg now, so I do need to limit how often I save. Partially because of this bastard. I should probably reference him in, but he keeps moving when I reference him. But yeah, so Yeti. What am I using it for? I'm using sensor shading on the eyebrows. So if we go into perspective cam, go to the Yeti graph editor, no, Yeti graph editor, let's go to this guy. I'm just going to zoom in on the eyebrows. Let's do this thing for a moment.
Are you leaving me?
We're all leaving.
Come on. So let's do this section here. Okay, so you can see how some hairs are clearly one colour while other hairs are clearly another. I've not got any texture maps in this, it's going purely off percentage. So let's talk about how I did this. Also, double hair in one room, kind of gross. Yeah, so that'll do. So we got our hair, I think it's like 50% browns and 50% whites. I don't think I did a ramp in that percentage, but we'll get to that later. So if I go to the Yeti graph editor and go to eyebrows, you can ignore the actual groom part of it, I think. Is that it there? Is paint. There it is, okay. So this is where I'm setting up the entirety of my random value, basically. If you're wondering what's going on here while I'm not viewing the last bit, I have groomed paint into the eyebrows and eyelashes, but I've got that turned off just while I'm working on the skin. So I'm just viewing it from this point. But this is just setting up a mask saying, is it paint or not? So this node is the one that sets up rand value, so let's just call rand value. So basically I'm creating a attribute on each hair, which I am calling rand value. In default, which is the way you set the actual value that your attribute is, I've just put hash ID, so that, as you know, will generate a random value per hair based on the ID of that hair. So if multiple hairs have the same ID, you'd get the same value, but obviously every hair has a different ID, so every hair gets a different value. Attribute type is set to float because, well, it's a float, I don't need a vector. And detail type is set to varying. That just basically gives one value per hair, one unique value per hair. It's not per vertex because simply you don't need it to be. But you know, you can do that sort of stuff. But this is how I have this set up. In mapping, I just enable map as renderable attribute. I have attribute and mapping left blank. That's just because if you tick this box and leave these blank, it just maps your attribute as that name. Whereas if you type stuff in here, you have to type what attribute you want to map and then what you want to name it. There's no point typing it 3 times when I can just type it once. And that's it in terms of the Yeti setup. So then when we go to the hypershade, it gets a little bit more complicated, but not really. It's still pretty simple as far as shaders go. So let's just hide this for a moment. So I will save my scene as well. So I can render and kind of update it and show you. So it's very, very simple setup. And actually I'm using it in a bit of a different way to normal, but you'll see. So I'm using an AI user data float just to load in that rand value. I've set default to 0, but that doesn't really matter. And all this is doing is saying, it's just giving that value per hair for Arnold so it can read it. I then go to a ramp. I'm using this random value as a UV coordinate for a ramp. So you can see here I've just got black and white. Functionally I'm using this as a mask. I'm using it in a very weird way here. This isn't the usual workflow, but for this it's all I need. Basically I'm saying this percentage of hairs are white, and then when I go to set range, I know that the values black and white are my min and max, right? So I just set old min and old max to 1. This is the value of my white hairs, this is the value of my non-white hairs. I then just set, you know, whatever melanin amount, because that's what I'm plugging it into. So I've got max set to 0, so that anything white on this ramp gets 0 melanin, and min set to 0.2, so anything set to black on this ramp gets 0.2 melanin. I've then got the exact same thing going into diffuse, or diffuse weight, just to make it so that there's a little bit of diffuse in the white hairs that just artificially boosts the value a little bit, makes them render a little bit nicer. It's not correct, but it works. And make sure I've got no diffuse on the min. This isn't a normal percentage shading setup, but it does show you the general approach. So let me show you, in fact I'll show you that in action as well. So if we remember what this looks like, I can just start that render and just move this all the way over here, and more hairs become white. If I move it all the way here, we're getting a very tiny percentage of hairs that aren't white. If I go all the way over here, we get a tiny percentage of hairs that are white. So I can't remember where that was set. I'm guessing around here. But I could use that in many different ways. Functionally, all you need to know is that I use it as a mask. I just happen to be using it at this point quite strangely. So if I was to set up, let's say we wanted a percentage red and a percentage green, I could, if I just completely scrap my shader, I could create a AI color layer. What is it? No, it's layer. I'm thinking of Redshift. So I've got my base color. I'm gonna disconnect melanin and disconnect diffuse. Just make sure you're set to 0, you're set to 0, and then diffuse. I need you set to 0 as well. Okay, so I've got my hair color here, which is just set by, you know, whatever base tone I want. Is it crashing? Weird how it wasn't letting me do that. Okay, so we got a base color of hair. So now every hair gets that color. Let's just make it super saturated so you can see it. Really obvious. That should be a little bit stronger, right? Oh. I'll then randomize. In fact, that wouldn't have made a difference anyway. Yeah, so there we go. And I'll plug it into diffuse. In fact, yeah, let's plug it into diffuse because it's even more obvious that when it's working. There we go. So we've got our super green diffuse hairs here. So the way that I tend to use percentage shading when I'm actually doing it for percentage is I will create a second layer. So let's just call this green layer. I'll then go a layer above that and say, okay, I want this to be red hairs layer, and let's just set this to be red and set that to be overwrite. So obviously that's everything working right now, but I've not actually got my mask in there, so I'll use this as a mask, plug that into mix 2, and then this has just become the percentage of hairs that I want to be the second layer's color. So you can do this sort of stuff. Just change percentage. Yeah, that's all there is to it, really. It is deceptively simple, to be honest. I wouldn't say it's easy because it requires, you know, some background knowledge, but yeah, that's the way I like to use it. And it's best to use with a map. One of the issues you do get with this. Actually, let me just set this to linear so you can see. There you go. That's if you set it to linear. It kind of blends between them, which isn't necessarily what you want, but kind of gives some cool looks sometimes. But yeah, this is all best done with maps because you can make it so that you just go layer by layer basically. But yeah, I hope that makes like general sense. I'll go through actually setting it up from scratch in a video. But yeah, so let me just reopen the scene. Where where I saved it. Cool. So let's get the hat visible. Pierrot, Geo, cloth, headcloth, ghostly hat. Awesome, thanks for walking through it. No issue, dude. Right, so let's go to render count, and I'll start my end of stream render because I want to play games, and this needs at least half an hour to render. So, yeah, sorry for the short stream today. Same as last time. Going through that kind of burnout phase with this project at the moment, so I don't want to push through it too fast. But yeah, so I hope you guys have enjoyed it. And yeah, I'll be streaming again on the weekend, or I might do the percentage lesson as a stream. Like I'll write a script before I do it and then just stream so people can ask questions as I go. And then obviously the actual stream itself is backed up online, so that might be a way to do it rather than recording a video and editing and shit. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to head off. Hope you guys have a good night. I'm going to go play some Battlefield. Download the beta if you haven't already, it's really cool. And yeah, have a good one. Bye guys.